pop-up books are this flat object, and then all of a sudden you open it and this scene emerges that just seems like magic. And that's what intrigued me. I was born about an hour from downtown Philadelphia. Come on, Nor. My parents immigrated from mainland China. They both came in the 1950s, and it was a pretty happy childhood. Back then, parents just wanted you to assimilate. They didn't want you to learn their native language. When I became a teenager, I wanted to hide that I was Chinese. I used to peroxide my hair, and I wouldn't eat Chinese food. My father was an engineer. I think he always wanted me to become an engineer. But that's the one thing I didn't want to be because he wanted me to be that. Then after college, my mom found a tour for me to China. The tour visited Yunnan Province. Kunming is the capital, and it's where my mom was born. Yunnan has almost half of the 55 ethnic minority groups of China. When we visited the university for ethnic minority groups, the dean asked me if I wanted to teach English there. I was offered that job because my great-grandfather, Long Yun, was governor of Yunnan Province and general of the army, and he had this nickname, the King of Yunnan. For them, it was like an honor to have a descendant of Long Yun at the school. So I taught English, and I also started traveling. I learned during my first trip to China that my mother was from an ethnic minority group called the No-Su-Yi. So I wanted to explore the cultures of the different minority groups. I stayed for 3 years, taking pictures of things I'm seeing and experiencing. And then I went back to the States to get my MFA in photography. But being a photographer is really competitive, and so I thought, how can I make my photographs more interesting? I just went and did some research in the bookstore, what can I do now? I used to go there to think. And in the children's section, I saw for the first time pop-up books. I took them apart and analyzed them. There were parallel lines and angles, a lot of mathematical relationships. Also, a whole story could be told without words. So I learned how to make my own pop-up books. And then I incorporated pop-up mechanisms with my photographs. 3 years later, I went back to Yunnan Province to create a series of pop-up books called We Are Tiger Dragon People. The most difficult part is actually not the mechanics, it's the story. I want it to have a reason why it's three-dimensional. Festivals or celebrations are good because people want to be photographed. The mechanics of a pop-up are a series of simple, basic structures combined together to create something more complex. And then adding photographs makes the viewer look at it with surprise. This series has 3 eggs with images from my trip to see the Miao people. The Miao are very well known for their festivals. and for their paper cutting. I went to this cave where a family has been making paper for 19 generations inside. The Miao believe that their originator was called Butterfly Mother, and Butterfly Mother gave birth to 12 eggs, and these eggs are the origin of all living things, including the Miao people. This sculpture is called Noodle Mountain. I wanted to understand the history of Chinese laborers coming to the U.S. during the 19th century. The Chinese helped build the Transcontinental Railroad, and Chinese laborers were working in the salmon canning industry. But the locals wanted them out because they claimed that they were replacing American workers. So the Chinese were targeted with massacres, hangings. The red sauce represents blood, and fire represents the many Chinatowns that were burned down. In 1875, the Page Act was the first legislative act that targeted immigrants, and it mainly banned Asian women from the country. And then in 1882, the Chinese Exclusion Act excluded all Chinese men from coming to the US. But there was a loophole that allowed merchant visas for businesses, and one of those was restaurants, leading to an exponential growth of Chinese restaurants. The crank reminds me of when I was little and my father would use a manual pasta maker. He always wanted me to become an engineer, but he was just happy that I had found something that I liked. And then the irony is that I am an engineer now, a paper engineer.